Next, we have a request from Mr. Dan Edwards to discuss District 5 concerns. If you would, you got 15 minutes, and state your name and address for the record, please.
I would like to make a motion that individuals that that are here that would like to speak in support of District 5 be able to speak, since we have somebody come in and speak against it.
Before we can legally discuss it, there would have to be a second.
I want to make a motion that individuals that are here to speak in support of District 5 be allowed to speak.
That's your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, it takes a second to go and discuss it.
So can you ask for a second again?
Sir?
Can you ask for a second again? I don't think anybody heard me.
Who made a second? It would be a second. Otherwise, the motion would die for lack of second.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay. You got 15 minutes.
Before, just point of clarification. We have a public comment section at the end
We
of the
do.
meeting.
We do. We have 5 minutes at the end of the...
Yes, Mr. Chair, if you would explain the time after the public session, I would appreciate also. That anyone wishing, would you explain that?
Okay.
How they have to be on the agenda?
Let me explain this. We have 3 rules. Rule number 1: if you want 15 minutes with or without a dialogue with the commission, you have to put it in writing, give it to the clerk, the Wednesday before the meeting on the next Tuesday. Okay. Now, if you don't do that, you can come in here right around the time we start the meeting. You can go to the clerk. I've got 5 or 6 here, people that want to speak. At the end, you will notice that we have public comments. Citizens are allowed to voice county-related concerns, options, and they get 5 minutes. Okay, now, on other issues, if a commissioner wants to hear issues on a zoning, not a zoning because that's a public hearing, but an ordinance or something, a commissioner can make a motion to open it up to the public, and we vote on it, and we have yet failed to vote on that on an issue. So if I clarified that, we have 3 ways you can do it. 15 minutes. Now, you get 15 minutes. If a first commissioner that asks a question, the clock comes off, that's a dialogue. On the 5 minutes, you get up here and make a comment. The first commissioner that asks the question, the clock comes off, you got a dialogue. So whatever time that dialogue is. So in fairness of the rules, I think that's why that died for lack of second.
Can I ask one more clarification? Because I can understand, District 5, the way this is written on the agenda is request to appear by Dan Edwards to discuss 5th District concerns. I want to make sure from maybe legal, if this is an attack on a sitting commissioner, are we allowed to put that in the public, or is this just about concerns?
Mr. Commissioner, it's not an attack. It's just concerns.
I think that's why I just want to make sure that this is all on the up and up just for everybody involved, because I wouldn't want somebody, if I saw it on the agenda and it said to discuss 2nd District concerns, I'd be wondering, are they going to come up here and just start dropping bombs on me when we don't know what the citizens are going to say to us. So I just want to make sure we're all on fair playing field here with this.
Okay. You start and I'll start the clock.
Mr. Chairman, Dan Edwards, 795 Blueberry Lane, Ellenwood, Georgia. Mr. Chairman, commissioners of the board, members of the staff of Henry County, I bring you greetings on behalf of citizens from the 5th District of Henry County. Mr. Chairman, thank you for acknowledging my request to speak before you all this evening as a citizen of the 5th District. I want to first be clear, Mr. Chairman, that I love Henry County. I've spent the past 17 years with a 4-year absence in between due to my military service as a citizen of this county, and I attribute a portion of my success to this county. I've traveled down here this evening to address concerns on behalf of citizens in the district as well as myself. And I find it extremely disappointing and disturbing that I've had to come down here this evening to address these concerns, considering the fact that I tried to get them addressed at an earlier date. Mr. Chairman, over the past 4 years, citizens of the 5th District have been led to believe that our current representation in the district has been a champion of our needs. All the while, he has been in it to satisfy his own personal ambitions. While on the surface, it looks as if things are just fine in the community, once you scratch a little bit deeper, you will quickly see that the decisions being made under our current leadership will cause close to irreparable damage if these issues aren't addressed in a steadfast manner. The past 4 years, the Commissioner of the 5th District has been more about self-promotion rather than public service and community development. I don't find it the least bit coincidental or ironic that the Commissioner is in the midst of an election year and he's gone to great lengths in making projects around the county seem more than what they really are, and even stoop as low to take his credit for projects that he had nothing to do with. Again, these are concerns that I attempted to get addressed at his self-proclaimed town hall meeting on January 25th, and they are the following. 1, since his inception, the Commissioner has been around the district, and I'm certain the rest of the county and around here, touting his accomplishments of the Fairview Medical Plaza. It's plain as day as you travel east and west on Fairview Road via a sign that reads, quote, "Something big coming to Fairview thanks to Dr. Gregory Daniel and Commissioner Bruce Holmes," close quote. There is no question due to his self-promotion and that he played an integral role in the business development coming to the 5th District. He can tell you about the restaurants, as he did in the town hall meeting, the $180 million, 1,300-plus job economic impact, and how many jobs it will create. All this and more, but when asked additional questions, such as how the development group arrived at those figures, he responds in a dismissive tone. "I don't know, it's a private development. You'll have to contact them." But Mr. Chairman, little does the Commissioner know that I took the liberty of contacting NIDA's development group long before his recommendation. I've been attempting to contact representatives from NIDA's development group via email and phone since last year, and have yet to receive one correspondence acknowledging my attempts to establish contact from a representative of the group. Questions such as, what is the sustainability of this project, considering Eagles Landing Family Practice came into the community 10 years ago to provide similar service, and today that building sits vacant? Citizens would like to know if there is any agreement in place that a certain number of the units have to remain occupied. If not, we face the risk of building ourselves into blight, like what has happened at Eagles Landing Family Practice, the Publix, and the Old Ingles, vacant commercial real estate. What about the sustainability of the other local medical businesses in the area? The Fairview Medical Pavilion that already exists less than a half a mile away of the projected Fairview Medical Plaza, the Fairview Chiropractor with Dr. Hall, Chafin Dental, and the recently constructed dialysis center. If they don't survive, then it will lead to them closing their doors, which will cause more blight, which will ultimately lead to a decrease in property values. Additionally, most of the jobs created will be temporary construction jobs used to build the facility. With none of the parties involved being able or willing to answer these questions, one can only speculate. Individuals other than the citizens of the 5th District are benefiting from this project. 2, the Fairview Beautification and Redevelopment Project and other transportation projects have been years in the making. It was approved under SPLOST 3 in 2008, 2 years before he was elected. The only accomplishments in this term as it pertains to Fairview beautification are the conspicuous "Welcome to Ellenwood Village" signs as you enter the county. 3, the Commissioner makes the claim that 73% of the yes votes for SPLOST 4 came from District 5, but that's simply not true. As a matter of fact, when you analyze the numbers provided by the Elections Division, it's less than 23%. 4, my final and most pressing concern at the moment, Mr. Chairman, is what occurred on February 11, 2014. Need I mention that it was on the eve of one of the worst ice storms to hit the metro area in a decade, when this board approved for the Commissioner to finance $9.1 million, $4.8 million, which will be used to build football fields in the 5th District. Now, Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and assume before this was put to vote that a soil test and an appraisal was done. And I want to be clear that I support the recreational development of the community. However, to finance this money for this project, we have to ask, where are the priorities? The first and foremost issue I have is during the discussion, at no point was it brought up that this possibly posed some type of conflict of interest, considering that the Commissioner has an athletic association in his namesake in the same area. How does it look for the government official who also, by the way, has an athletic association in his namesake requesting public dollars to build these fields. Not only did he make the request, he made a second on the motion, which was voted upon. Out of sheer perception, wouldn't you agree it would have been appropriate for the commissioner to recuse himself or abstain from the vote? At his January 25th town hall meeting, he placed blame on this board by there being no new Fairview or no 5th District fire station in the foreseeable future, but totally disregarded the opportunity to replace fire station number 6 that already exists in the county and wouldn't require the $1.2 million needed to staff it. Where are the priorities? The replacement of fire station number 6, I understand, is currently on the countywide project list, but it's a priority 2 project. And if you know, like I know, priority 2 projects during SPLOST, the success of them is little to none. What good does it do to build a park if kids can't safely walk there because there are no sidewalks or street lamps? What about the additional funding needed to maintain the park? Where are those figures? What good does it do to complain about your colleagues not working to meet emergency management needs when the opportunity is all but dismissed on the complainant's part? I asked myself these questions multiple times trying to figure the commissioner's reasoning, only to come to the conclusion that in the midst of an election year, this is yet another feeble attempt to speak in terms he would understand, pad his stats. Now I'm most certain at this point, as I conclude my statement and the commissioner has his opportunity to respond, he will provide some excuse as why he failed, or lack of better words, disregard my concerns at his January 25th town hall meeting. He will probably repeat some of the statements I made as it pertains to the economic impact of the Fairview Medical Plaza, but will provide no evidence on how they arrived at those numbers. He will probably state that he has no direct ties to the Bruce Holmes Athletic Association and that the board of directors handles all business of the organization. Mr. Chairman, the past 4 years have been nothing but a business venture for him, and I take it personal. He's been about self-glorification. This is evident that when he has anything to do with anything, whether it's an event, an organization, or a project, he has to physically put his name on it. For we all know and have had the opportunity to discover of him the past few years that when it comes to the 5th District of Henry County, it's all about Bruce Holmes. He never misses an opportunity to make it about him. In closing, due to his refusal to answer these questions and concerns when I attempted to pose it to him at the 25th meeting, I hereby publicly address them in an open forum. And as a taxpaying resident and a contributor of the commissioner's salary, I demand these questions be answered and they will be provided to the county clerk. 1, put me in direct contact with a representative of Nidus Development so they can provide me with a metric that proves the $180 million economic impact as well as the 1,300 plus job impact it's supposed to provide to this area, as well as establish an agreement that a certain percentage of the units of the medical plaza remain occupied. 2, does the commissioner stand to benefit personally from the construction of the Fairview Medical Campus? 3, once the plaza is complete, what is the viability or plan for the other medical businesses in the area? If not, if they are forced to close their doors, we have done nothing but built ourselves into blight. 4, does he or his athletic association and his namesake stand to benefit from the construction of the Bellamy Brothers project or the Bellamy Brothers Memorial Park in any form? 5, I hereby make an open records request into the use of the Commissioner Holmes' use of his government-issued credit card. Finally, Mr. Chairman, I challenge you that within the next 6 months, you establish a permanent board of ethics made up of everyday individual tax-paying citizens of this county. Members of this ethics board will be no way, shape, or form affiliated with Henry County government other than them being everyday tax-paying citizens. This group will serve as a mechanism to enforce the revised code of ethics, ensure transparency, and ensure the efficiency of our government. A day of reckoning is upon us, Mr. Chairman, and where we the people determine if our representation has the people's interests at the foremost priority rather than their own. We will no longer stand idly by and blindly trust our leadership without asking the tough questions. The citizens of Henry County work too hard to have their tax dollars being used for self-gratification of individuals. Young men and women are sacrificing their lives each and every day in the most dangerous parts of the country and dangerous parts of the world to defend our Constitution and to protect our democracy. They are sacrificing too much to allow their sacrifices to go in vain. because our representation is more interested in building their own legacy rather than seeing the community prosper. With that, I yield my time, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's moving on. Next, we have community development. I'm sorry. Okay. Public hearing to receive public comments on the proposed. Next, we have public comments. Citizens are allowed to voice county-related concerns, opinions, etc. That are not listed on the agenda. During this portion of the meeting, all persons wishing to speak for public comment must sign up with the county clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. You must sign your name, address, and specify topic you wish to speak on, or you will not be recognized. You will be able to address the board for 5 minutes. I've got 7, and I'm going to assume that the way I got them is the order that they signed up. Would that be a good assumption? Okay. So I'm going to set the clock for 5 minutes, and you get 5 minutes. Now, here's the rule. If one of the commissioners up here asks a question to start a dialogue, I'll cut the clock off. And that's a dialogue, and that's First Amendment for the board as well as people. So at this time, I would like to recognize Mr. Jim Nichols, State, Ours, District 3, and maybe Local Democracy.
Yes, sir. My name is Jim Nichols. I'm a citizen here. I live at 217 Turnstone Road, Stockbridge, Georgia. I am also the Democratic nominee for State House District 111. And I was just here today. Today is tax day, so I was here. Thought it was appropriate to introduce myself formally to the commission. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and the commissioners, for allowing me to speak. I think the tax day name is poorly named. Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes said that taxes are the price we pay for civilization. So really it should be called Civilization Day. And you gentlemen are on the front lines of making sure that we have a high quality of life here in Henry County. I really just wanted to come today to introduce myself. Thank you all for your service. You have a tough job. I was looking at Twitter during the meeting, and the quickly breaking tractor purchase scandal of 2014 is already out there. So I know
you need to design your First Amendment to where you're not campaigning. You can't campaign at the podium, but you can speak of issues.
Yes, sir. Okay. I'm formally here just to introduce myself. It was not to campaign. And
I just want to, it looked like you was getting ready to go into the campaign. I just want to put you on notice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was actually a bad joke about Twitter. I apologize for the bad jokes. But I was really here to just introduce myself to the members and let you know that I am a citizen of Henry County, and I look forward to working to represent you. To Commissioner Holmes, actually, I'd actually like to say a few words in response to earlier comments. I'm not in your district, but I was actually at the most recent town hall forum you held, and a young lady said she was in District 2 like myself and was in attendance at your public forum because she wanted to be a part of the process. So I actually commend you for your service because you are setting the bar very high for county commissioners across the state. And that was really the reason for me to be here today, was just to introduce myself to you gentlemen. I know you have a tough challenge because decisions by county commissioners in the past tie your hands. Henry County lacks a number of infrastructural investments that could have been made a long time ago. So I know all of you have a difficult task. I also know the federal government and the state legislature do not give you the things you need to do your job. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity to speak and introduce myself, and wish you all a good night.
Okay, thank you, and I apologize, because it said district, and it had 111, so I looked at that and it was District 3, but it's District 111.
Yes, sir.
I apologize for that. Thank
Oh,
you
no
so
worries.
much. Thank you. Next, we have Mrs. Carlotta Harrell. She's going to discuss District 5 concerns.
My name is Carlotta Harrell. I reside at 261 Hunting Court, Lake Spivey, Georgia, District 5. I reside in District 5 and I represent the Lake Spivey communities. And I assure you that Mr. Dan Edwards does not in any shape or form speak for myself or for the Lake Spivey communities. I was one of two persons. Why is he up here?
No, sir. Hey, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman,
No, sir.
my name, I feel I have the right.
Nope, you're out of order. You're out of order. I'm going to have to ask you to sit down. Nobody addressed you while you was here, and it's out of
The
order.
opportunity was
It
presented.
is out of order.
And my time is clicking away while
That's okay.
while you're.
No, you will not be penalized on your
Okay.
time,
Thank
but you're out of order. Thank you. Okay, let me see. I'm sorry I didn't catch that quicker. Okay. Okay,
Okay, thank you, sir.
you're welcome. Thank you.
I was one of two persons that served on the Splash Committee representing District 5. For 13 to 14 weeks, we held public meetings, addressed community concerns, and answered questions. Not one meeting did Mr. Dan Edwards attend. For public record, all Splash projects were reviewed and voted on by this entire board. Commissioner Holmes has monthly town hall meetings to keep the citizens of District 5 informed. It saddens me that this board sat here and allowed for Mr. Edwards to attack Commissioner Holmes' character and reputation, and you all did nothing or said nothing to stop it. There's a difference in Mr. Edwards stating his concerns about various projects, but to continue to try to slander Commissioner Holmes' name, all of you should be ashamed of yourself. When Commissioner Holmes made a motion to allow others to speak, none of you would second his motion. Again, shame on you. Remember, what goes around comes around, and so does elections for each of you. This is just the beginning. This board in no way represents the diversity in this county. Mr. Holmes has done a great job in representing District 5, and I would like to commend him on the job well done that he has done for the district. You only have one person that come up to make comments to try to make Commissioner Holmes look bad. And I think that the board should have at least, when someone wants to get on the agenda, at least know what those concerns are going to be, so that no other commissioner would have to sit through what Commissioner Holmes had to sit through. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we recognize Eugene Edwards, District 5 issues.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Eugene Edwards. I reside at 551 Patella Road, Stockbridge, Georgia, 5th District. I just want to recommend Commissioner Holmes for the great work that he's doing in the 5th District. I lived there for 14 years, and nothing that happened in the 14 years that I was there was going on now. And again, thank you, Commissioner Holmes. Great job.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll recognize Keith Peavy, District 5 concerns. State your name and address, please.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Keith Peavy. I live at 90 Bel Air Drive in Stockbridge, Georgia. You have to excuse me a little bit, but I'm talking. I want to say that I don't come to the meetings quite often as I need to because I'm out of town a lot. But I do understand a little bit about what's going on, and I'm kind of concerned about it. Commissioner Holmes, I do think, is doing an excellent job since I've been there. I'm living in Henry County in Stockbridge. I bought my property maybe about 10 years ago. Me and my wife, I lived in DeKalb County, and I wanted to move. So I decided to buy me some property. I bought about 10 acres here in Henry County. And over time, I saw it growing. And, I was impressed. I was happy. I saw it growing when Commissioner Bruce Holmes took office. It just really grew. I loved it. What I did not like was, as I traveled around, I'm actually an IBW and an AFL-CIO member, and I teach hazmat for the unions and for non-unions around the world. And I do mean world because normally I visited every state pretty much, maybe once or twice. My problem is that some of my tax dollars, as I go through the world and look around and see us on the news, I see my tax dollars not doing what I want them to do. I see a lot of it happening over time in the other districts, but I don't see a lot of it. It seems like it's stalling in the 5th District. And I don't think that's the commissioner's fault. I think he's doing a great job, but I also think that there's some things that we need to look at to make sure our interests are taken care of as well. I do feel like, of course, you all do have a lot on your plates. I understand that. But I do also understand that our voices also have to be heard as well as a county. I don't, a lot of times I'm behind the scenes. I'm at a lot of the functions, a lot of the events. I help out as much as I can in the county with the Henry County Police Department, the Fire Department, which I help try to with that every year in our district. But I do want to make sure is that, and I also will talk to some of my members down in my local to make sure that my part of the district is taken care of. There were some things that the gentleman mentioned about a lot of the construction that's going up and going on. I'm not here to demean, belittle, or worry about what a person is doing, to look like it might be hurting the county. I don't think that's happening either. I've been around politics a long time. I just don't want to be one. So sorry because I know you all have a lot to deal with. But I do want to make sure and aware of that, Commissioner Holmes, you do have my support on that from what you're doing, and I do appreciate your help. But I am concerned about him getting the help that he needs to get in order for our part of the district to grow. Now, that's what I'm concerned about, and that's what I will be talking to some of my members about to make sure that some of my union members, I should say, to make sure it's not only our part of the district is also growing, but as well as the other ones, and I don't want one part getting more than the other. I just want it to kind of be on an even keel. On that note, I'd like to thank you all once again. I know you all have a hard job. I appreciate your help, Commissioner, and you all have a good night.
Thank you so much. Next, we recognize Sarah Billups. District 5 concerns.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Sarah Billups. I live at 238 North Wind Drive in Stockbridge, and I am a District 5 resident. I want to say, first of all, that I do have a habit of speaking for myself. As far as I know, there hasn't been anyone appointed in District 5 to speak for the residents there. And I think it is disingenuous of someone to come before this august body and proclaim themselves as spokesperson for District 5 residents. And I needed to say that right up front. The second thing is I speak in support of Commissioner Bruce Holmes. I am one of the people who attend practically every town hall meeting that he has, as I'm sure Chairman Smith remembers me sitting there looking at him as he was speaking. And many of the issues that were brought forth here this evening in a very negative way, with a lot of negative adjectives that I really take issue with. I can say that he has had a town hall meeting on those issues. He has brought people there from various phases here in the county, and people have asked questions. And I would like to point out that our presenter, and I'm going to call his name also, Mr. Dan Edwards, was not at those meetings. I was there, so I know he wasn't there. And that was the place for questions. I mean, he had all of the photographs, he had all of the diagrams. There were people there from the county who were prepared to answer questions if you had issues about projects. And that was the time. Those meetings had public service announcements that were put on them. There were posters and things put out on those meetings, so people in the county knew that he was going to have a town hall meeting around those issues. And I think, you know, we really need to be fair. I think that Commissioner Holmes is one of the best commissioners that I have personally ever seen. And I'm not knocking anyone, because I think that everyone does a good job here in Henry County, and I'm very proud to be a resident, but I'm especially proud to be in District 5. I have never asked Commissioner Holmes to do one thing that he has not done or has tried to do, and I think that that is very important. You know, when I hear negative adjectives like self-serving and self-promotional and seeking to put forth his own name and things that is so unfair. Every one of you commissioners are proud of the work that you have done, and you make sure that the people in your districts know what you have done. There is absolutely nothing wrong with Commissioner Holmes taking credit for the job that he has done. Just like the rest of you do, he does too. And I think that that is correct. It is in order, and it is the right thing for him to do. As a resident here in District 5, I want to know that my commissioner is working, that he is working on my behalf, that if I need him, I can pick up the phone and I can call him, and I do not have to worry about whether he is going to try to respond. He has tried to represent the members here in Henry County who live in District 5. He works tirelessly. And I think that it is absolutely outrageous for someone to come in here who does not come to meetings, who clearly does not speak for me. And I know that, I know that if I went to my neighbors in District 5, they have no idea who Dan Edwards is. So it is disingenuous of him to get up here and proclaim himself as spokesperson for the residents of District 5 when no one has asked him to speak for them. He has every right to speak for himself. He has every single right to state what his opinion is, but he cannot make that somebody else's opinion. That is his opinion. He is entitled to it. He has every right to fight for it. I have no issue with it, but he does not represent me. He does not represent my neighbors. I don't know who he represents. That might be a group, but it is not a group that I know, and I am in the community. I'm one of those people who work, and when people hear Sarah Billup's name, there's an awful lot of people who know what that name is, and they know because I am out there and I am working. And I know that Commissioner Holmes does an excellent job, and I take issue with someone taking my commissioner's name and doing what I heard done here this evening. I am very annoyed. I don't like it, and I really want that to be clear. Thank you for your time. I appreciate this time. Bye.
Thank you. Next, we'll have recognize Mr. Houston Nelson, District 5 issues.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Houston Nelson. I live at 2504 Walter Way, and I was compelled to come here tonight because of one of the items on the agenda regarding some concerns for District 5. Before I say a few comments, I just wanted to welcome Jim Walker to the new position. I'm sure this is quite a night. It's been about a year since I've been here, Mr. Walker, so I apologize for my late salutations, but I do want to say thank you for choosing Henry County. I also want to recognize some of the fine employees, Ms. LaTanya Wiley and Ms. Sherry. They do a fantastic job. Every single time I see them up here, they are always on point and very helpful. And you guys let a good one get away, and Michael Harris. I want to thank you all for that. Because he's now in Stockbridge, and you guys know we need some good leadership down there. So I do want to thank you guys for letting him get away. But with that being said, tonight it seems like it's almost a bit of a roast of Commissioner Holmes, and that's unfortunate because in the entire time I've known Commissioner Holmes, he's been nothing more than a tireless servant for the residents of District 5 as well as all of Henry County. I know most of you on a first-name basis. In fact, half of you are Facebook friends of mine. And I appreciate the work that each of you do. But I'm sorry, Mr. Bowman, I think no matter what you do, it's going to show up on somebody's blog. You know how that is. But I made a quick list of some of the things that I've experienced. Of course, most of you know I'm a former president of a homeowners association, which is probably the most thankless job in existence, as well as my company, Molly Maid of Henry County. We heard some transportation issues. If anybody knows transportation in Henry County, it's me. All of you have seen my cute little blue cars traveling up and down the roads trying to scurry to their assigned houses. And so, but I have here town hall meetings, Commissioner Holmes, every single month, fourth Saturday of the month. He has Republicans there. He has Democrats there, women, men, very diverse, always informative. He's spearheaded the widening of the Fairview Road, the Splash Park, the medical complex. He's the only one I've really seen or heard that seriously addressed the concerns of widening Rock Quarry. Most of us know if you get a heart attack and you're trying to get to the medical center at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Rock Quarry Road, stick a fork in you because you're not going to be able to get the vehicles to pull off the side of the road because there's no shoulder. And he's addressed that with wanting to widen that road. SPLOST, I've been to several of the SPLOST meetings last year. And I know that, and I stand to be corrected, but District 5 represented itself well in that SPLOST vote, and I'm sure it was a key to its success. His peers voted him as the vice chair. I think that speaks loudly. His youth foundation, leadership forums, all of these things. I even had a conversation with former Commissioner Basler, and he told me, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this publicly, he thought Commissioner Holmes was doing a good job. And I thought that was high praise from Mr. Basler because I have a lot of respect for him as well as Commissioner Holmes. He even had a public safety day last year, and showing himself to be a friend both of police officers and firefighters as well as the EMT personnel in the county. I don't know Mr. Edwards personally. I'm sure he's a good man, and I'm sure his concerns in his mind are valid. But let me just say this. You would have to be sitting under a rock to not know what's going on in District 5. I've been at so many of his meetings. I've heard people come up and make allegations and comments, and at the end of the day, it's all about doing your homework and knowing what's going on in your community. And let me tell you, he knows what's going on in his community, and I say this not as a Bruce Holmes apologist, okay, because he and I have some heated conversations, and we have not always agreed on everything. But one of the things I appreciate about that young man is that he always is willing to listen. He's willing to express his point of view, and he allows me to express my points of view. And he's always just a phone call away. It was mentioned earlier. And so I find a lot of these accusations about him grandstanding or whatever the words were about seeking personal glory or all, man, that's a bunch of, govern my comments. Okay. It's baseless, in a word. It's baseless. I have respect for Commissioner Smith and Mr. Bowman. Keep up the good work, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. District 5?
This is really hard for me because I found out this was on the agenda when I was at ACC, and wasn't intending on being at this meeting today because I was in training in Savannah, Georgia. But once I found out, I said, you know what, I need to get to the meeting so I can hear these words for myself. And I'm very surprised that the chairman would move forward in setting something up like this, even though he had an idea that I wouldn't be here today. But I'm going to leave that there, and I'm going to say thank you for all my supporters. I'm even going to say thank you to Dan Edwards. Maybe we need to have more dialogue. I've only talked to you maybe about 2 or 3 times since I've been knowing you, but I represent you. I'm here for you. If you want to call me anytime on my personal phone, your dad has it. Call me. I'll answer any question you have. You don't have to come and try to embarrass me and diminish my credibility, because everybody, not just in District 5, but in the county, know how hard I work for their sake. I don't need to take credit. I didn't put that sign up on Fairview Road with my name and Dr. Daniel's name on there. The resident that lives in that house did that. I didn't put my name up on Hidden Valley Park. The residents did that. I didn't know those things were up until I rode past. Look on my Facebook page. Came home from out of town and saw my name up on the board. I don't need to take credit for myself. Other people give me credit for the work that I do. So with that, I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna say thank you to everybody. Sometimes people just need to get out and express themselves. Thank you to the Board of Commissioners, for everything you guys do, and thank you for working with me directly. So I'll leave it there.